So welcome back, everyone. We're live on Facebook, so hello to everybody out there. My next guest, I am really excited about bringing on my next guest. She's been on once before, but I love the topic, especially of what we're going to talk about today. I have with me Catherine Medina, and she's the owner of Medina Family Law. Welcome back to the show.
Thank you.
I want you first off, we want to talk a little bit about you, and then what we're going to talk about today, and then I have some other questions I want to ask. Go ahead.
Yeah, sure. As you mentioned, my name is Catherine Medina, also Catherine Medina. That's my sort of professional name, but online I go by Katie. I am a divorce attorney licensed here in Arizona and have my own firm with offices in Peoria and Phoenix.
It's amazing. Now, you also have a lot that you do with social media, and you said you post a lot of videos. Let's talk a little bit about them as well.
Yeah, so a few years ago I started posting online because I have always been a believer of access to legal services. I want to try and minimize that barrier, and I found that so many people online were seeking legal advice, and a lot of it was wrong, but I just started posting and it started to take off, and so now my social media page online, Attorney Katie, has followers, and I get a lot of clients from there, and I post pretty consistently so much content about divorce and family law.
There's a lot of questions when it comes to divorce and family law, and it's important for you to, a lot of people, they think that it's, I gotta call an attorney, we're gonna sit down and talk, and they're gonna do, this way you can do it on your own and basically get that information through you, who is wanting to educate. I think that's what I think you're all about more than anything, education and getting people to be able to have answers.
Yeah, and I want people to feel like they know me already a little bit by the time that they approach me or call the firm, and because it can be scary calling an attorney, especially for divorce, and so people that come from online, they already feel like they know how I am, they know how I talk, they know what I'm about, and so those videos are sort of easing them when it comes to calling me.
So it is Attorney Katie, and it's with a C.
Yes.
Because I write it with a K, because that's what I only know, but it's with a C.
Yes, with
okay,
a C.
So it's C-A-T-I-E, Attorney Katie, and that's her social handle, so just go there, and you see all of the videos that she's done, as well as all the information. If you have a question, how do they do that online? If they have a question about something, can they reach you, can they email you?
So sometimes people will put forth questions and I'll respond in a general sense, but if they want to talk about their specific case, I direct them to
They gotta come in, absolutely.
Yeah.
Okay, so let me come back over here today, because we're gonna talk about one of my favorite subjects when it comes to divorce, spousal maintenance, okay?
Yes.
So, first of all, for those who may not know, can you tell us a little bit about alimony and spousal maintenance, what it is, and the difference between the two?
So alimony and spousal maintenance are two terms that mean the same thing. They're used interchangeably, but that is financial support that you receive from your spouse in the event of a divorce.
Okay, I just have to kind of put in some of my own stuff here, okay, is that okay?
Mm-hmm.
Because a lot of people don't get that all the time, or they were supposed to, and they don't get it, maybe something has happened. It's very important, though, for them to understand, and I also think that it's important for them to not try and be so nice. A lot of women trying to be nice and everything, they think if I'm nice, they're not gonna hurt me. That's not gonna happen, right? But, the importance of understanding their decree and what they're owed. What do you think?
Well, I think it's one of the most important questions for someone to ask, especially if they are in a position where they do need financial assistance, is how do I qualify? And that is where the attorney comes in, and they're going to ask you a ton of questions to figure out how do you qualify, and if you do qualify, what is maintenance going to look like for you?
I got divorced jillions of years ago, and I bet you it's a lot different today.
Absolutely.
Yeah, and so what would be the difference, like, let's say for when I did it, was just something that people, just to give them food for thought, as what is different today as it was years ago?
So very recently, at least in terms of the law, Arizona enacted spousal maintenance guidelines and a calculator. So when you got divorced, we had factors, and it was basically someone come up with a number, and then you guys can try and meet in the middle, or a judge will decide that number for you. But it left a lot of room for people to say, well, I deserve this much or this much for how long. But now we have a calculator, and that calculator bases it off of income information of the parties and the size of your family, and it will produce a range that says this is how much you may be entitled to.
Well, the only way you're gonna know is if you go check her out on her social media. She wants you to go there because you can get a lot of information from there as well. It's attorney Katie, Catie. Go up there and check it out. You're gonna like that you did, especially if you're dealing with the question. Okay, so we talked about this too before you were on, but last time you were on, and I said it's always a great time to come on and talk about this at this time of the year, right? Because everybody didn't want to fight too much if they didn't have to during the holidays, even though I'm sure they did, because they want the gift, right? And then they wait till the new year. Now they're thinking, okay, I'm ready, right?
Yeah, this year especially, I mean, for the past 2 weeks, a lot of people have kind of been slow or out of office, but we have been busy. People have been strategically planning to file, and we continue to stay busy. The first week of January, we've gotten already so many new clients. So people are really taking the time to take this step now.
Yeah, they're ready. They're ready to do it. And when you're ready, that's usually when you do anything. Okay, so let's talk about the purpose of alimony, okay, and here in Arizona.
So the purpose of alimony has always been to enable the parties to achieve independence, especially the party that needs the maintenance. The goal is for them to achieve that financial independence. But now, as of a few years ago, Arizona actually wrote into the statute that says that the aim of spousal maintenance is to enable the party receiving maintenance to become self-sufficient. And that was a big deal because now we're looking at self-sufficiency, and that is what people that are seeking maintenance need to work towards while they're receiving that award, because once it's over, you're now technically supposed to be self-sufficient.
Right, and let me tell you something, they really mean business when they say these things. You can't just go and sit there and hang out and relax. You have to get your feet on the ground. That's really what it's for, to help you as you're working towards, you said, like independency, right? Very, very important. How does a spouse qualify then for maintenance?
So maintenance, in order to qualify in the state of Arizona, you have to be both what we say eligible and entitled to maintenance.
I believe everybody is, not necessarily.
Some attorneys also would agree with you.
Really?
There's a lot of case law over the past few years that talks about this, and there are some attorneys that will argue everyone is eligible because no one or very few people have enough assets to sustain themselves for the rest of their lives.
Right.
And that is one of the factors that will get triggered in order to make you eligible for maintenance. Is you do not have enough assets to take care of yourself.
Right.
Most people will say, yeah, I don't, not forever, right?
I didn't.
Right.
Right.
So, but there's other factors too. It could be your age, maybe, or you've been out of the workforce and entering, even if you re-enter the workforce, you're not going to earn an income that is going to enable you to take care of yourself and all your bills, so you still need some help. Or maybe you forwent your own career opportunities for your spouse during the marriage, or you have a child that has a condition such that you cannot be employed. Maybe you're taking care of that child. And so if any one of those factors, and there's 5 in the state of Arizona, are met, you are eligible, as we would say.
The best thing to do is to get in contact with her and have a consultation. You want to learn more about her. She's all about education. You can go up onto her social media, which is Attorney Katie, Catie, and you can go up there and check it out. And the questions that you might have, please, this is something that's also really important as you're doing whatever you're doing and you get upset about things, write it down, right? Because then when you have the chance to talk to the attorney, that way you can be prepared. I think that's also very important. Before we go to a break, I just have to say this one thing that's almost kind of funny but sad at the same time. So, I had an ex-husband that said to me, oh, don't worry, you don't need to have an attorney, right? I'm never going to hurt you. Ha ha ha. Okay, So why is it important to have an attorney?
Those are the ones I tell people you have to watch out for those ones the
Run!
most.
Go get yourself one,
Those are the ones that
yeah.
need an attorney the most.
Exactly.
They want to take advantage of your lack of knowledge.
Right, unfortunately, that is pretty much the case when that happens, and there, you know what, though I think maybe today there's some younger women that are more knowledgeable than,
Absolutely.
you know, especially in my generation, or maybe even, you know,
Mhm.
before that, but still, you know, you've gotta be prepared, and having somebody who's gonna educate you and make you understand, I think that's wonderful, that's what you're all about. You know, you're not a cookie cutter, let's get them all done and just go through it.
Mhm.
I think you really wanna make sure that people do get what's right for them, right, but educating them along the way. Again, just go up onto her social media handle, which is attorney, it's Katie, Catie. Even if you're on the fence with this, go up there and check it out and get your questions answered from there too. Okay, now we're still live in the room, okay?
Mhm.
So, just wanna ask you, do you want me to put your phone number out or no? Cause you didn't last time, but I just wanted to ask. No? Okay, I won't.
No, I think it's okay.
Okay.
Everything's on my social.
That's fine.
There was something talking about education.
That you have here, or that I said?
I was just thinking of it right now when you were asking me, or talking about my educating. One of the things that attorneys don't do, I think, is talk to women as soon as they come into your office about, you know, what is your plan to return to the workforce? What is
Okay.
Like, there's more to talk about in terms of how to qualify for maintenance, but something that I do differently is tell women, like, you need to start thinking about your plan to return to the workforce. Are you gonna go back to school? You know, do you need to get a degree? If so, how long is that gonna take?
Yeah.
Because all of that information becomes relevant in your case.
Mhm. You know, I don't think they ask that ever
Mhm.
for me.
No.
I can't remember that question
Because
at
a lot of
all.
them think, oh, you have a great case for maintenance, and they don't
Right.
think about when we're no longer in the picture.
Right,
What are you gonna do logistically with
but
your
I
life?
did it without realizing it. It's, you know, it was a whim,
Mhm.
and I knew I had to make money.
Mhm.
I knew I wasn't gonna be able to live on whatever it was that I was gonna get,
Yeah.
even though I probably could have a little bit.
Oh, and it's still that same way. Whatever
Mhm.
women get, even if they do get maintenance, it's usually still not enough to cover everything.
I also think it's important for them to understand that what they get for maintenance and what they get for that is considered income, you know?
Yes, but it's not taxable.
It's not?
No,
Okay.
and that's one of the last questions I
Okay.
included. Yeah, no, the tax cuts
So then
and
what if
Jobs
why
Act
is it so
changed that.
important? No, that's an interesting thing.
Well, the person that's paying has already paid the taxes on it when they
Uh-huh.
receive the money, right? So,
Okay.
but the person who's receiving it does not have to report it as income on their taxes.
And that's always been the case?
No, that changed in 2017.
Okay, that's probably why, because for me, there was a reason why they did it differently, I don't wanna say it on air, but that was, they were giving me X amount more,
Mhm.
less, so that I wouldn't have to report it. So it
Mhm.
must have been something had changed, because
Yeah.
that was all about that.
That was a
They were
recent
very
change.
important, yeah. It must have been, yeah.
Yeah,
But again, well, I guess that's a good thing,
Yeah.
you know.
yeah.
Because that was, I'll tell you afterwards, you know, why that was an interesting situation,
Mhm.
you know.
Well, we always tell people, you should really talk to a tax preparer, like, yeah,
Oh, yeah,
you
yeah.
know,
Oh,
right?
yeah.
Like,
Yeah, but, you know, people, like I said before, you don't know what you don't know,
Mhm.
right? And, the things that the way we did things before is quite different than we are doing it now.
Mhm. It's true.
So welcome back, everyone. You know, this is an incredibly important, you know, topic that we're talking about here. It could be you, it could be someone that you know. I love this show and I love it, and I say it every time because this is information, this is a platform for you here. She's able to talk about it and educate you. Take this information and go up onto her social media, which is attorney Katie, Catie, and go up there, and she has a lot of information there, a lot of videos. She's all about educating you out there. One of the things that you wanted to, you know, talk about was one of the most important questions. You think is that if your attorney's not asking you these things, you gotta wonder why. Go ahead.
Yeah, and when we talk about educating our clients on spousal maintenance, I believe a conversation needs to be had with the maybe financially vulnerable party at the outset of, what is your plan to return back to the workforce, or how are you gonna take care of yourself now? If you've been out of the workforce, if you need to get vocational training, what does that look like? Because one is legally relevant for your case and the arguments that we're gonna make or how we strategize, but two, I'm thinking of the client even once the divorce is done. And I spoke to a woman not that long ago, and she said, well, my attorney didn't even talk to me about that. He just said that I had a really good case for spousal. And I said, you do, but I care about you as a person too, and I want you to be thinking about this, because one day that spousal is gonna end, and if you've done nothing in the meantime, it's gonna end, and then you're back to square one, but you don't have maintenance. What have you done to achieve that self-sufficiency that's now in the statute?
And you've really gotta make sure that you do that. And it's not looking for another guy, a husband.
For some it might be, and that's fine, but do you want to end up here again?
Yeah, right.
That's a decision they need to make.
So, okay, let's go to the next one here. So Arizona, how, I don't know if that meant who uses statewide spousal maintenance guidance and a calculator. What is the purpose of the guidelines, and how does it work?
Yeah, so as I was talking about before, Arizona now, as of the last few years, has guidelines and a calculator for maintenance. Those guidelines and that calculator is meant to produce a amount as well as provide a guideline for the duration of that award. So how long would that person be receiving that maintenance that is produced on the calculator?
And that's different for everybody?
Yes,
Okay.
Based on how long they were married, income, and things of that nature.
Right. Now, again, I know that there's a lot of people out there who are planning on getting a divorce, and this is usually the time of the year where people kind of start thinking about it even more so. And we want you to make sure that I want to ask this before we go on to some of your other questions, is that a lot of people try to go and do it on their own now because, they think they can, they're going to get all the information on the website or what have you. What do you think about that?
I'm not against people handling things on their own. I just tell people you have to be really savvy and willing to look and read a ton of paperwork, and if you are, fine. But my concern, especially with financial topics such as maintenance, is you have to have the other party's income information. And maybe their income isn't as straightforward as a W-2 employee. Maybe they're 1099 or they have multiple sources of income. If you don't include that when, let's say, you yourself are preparing your worksheet, you're cheating yourself out of potential money. And so you want to make sure that you're including everything. And I think it would be hard if you're doing this on your own, because a lot of the times if you contact your spouse, they're probably going to say, I'm not giving you my income, or they're going to underreport it.
Oh yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
The other thing is too that when you do this on your own, there's too much, I think, especially if there's children involved. If there's children involved, don't think you should try and do it on your own.
No.
Because then that's a whole nother story. So, okay, what counts as income for spousal maintenance purposes?
So income is basically anything that you receive before deductions or withholdings. Bonuses, commissions, regular pay. The only things that are not income are child support that you may receive for that child you share in common with that spouse, as well as federal disability income.
So here's another one that's really good. What counts as income for spousal? We just talked about that. This is the one I like. Does adultery or cheating affect a spouse's ability to get maintenance?
Yeah, this one's good because I think it's a common myth that, if they cheated, I'm entitled to more, or I might get maintenance because they cheated on me. And unless you have a prenuptial agreement that specifies that, the answer is no, because Arizona is what we call a no-fault divorce state. So I tell people, it doesn't entitle you to more if they cheated. you don't get more of their retirement. You don't automatically get this because they cheated, because we are a no-fault divorce state, and many states are.
Yeah, a lot of people do think that, but no ways, Jose, sorry.
Mhm.
And I think that's, listen, I mean, especially now today, I'm sure there's a lot of people that do that, right?
Mhm.
And, it just doesn't work that way.
Yeah.
Can someone receive temporary spousal maintenance while the divorce is pending?
Yes, and this ends up being really important for people that maybe things have gotten so tense that they're worried about how the bills are going to continue to be paid, or they're now separated living apart and they don't know or don't have funds to pay their bills. They can receive temporary maintenance. The request needs to be made. And the goal of that temporary maintenance for the court is going to be establishing and maintaining the status quo that the parties had during the marriage. So maybe that looks like, however you guys paid the bills during your marriage is going to remain that if possible, or if someone is financially vulnerable, we need to set up some maintenance for them. They will do that. One of the important things about temporary maintenance is that if you get maintenance, the guidelines, Arizona Spousal Maintenance Guidelines, assume that you are splitting the household bills 50-50, even under temporary maintenance. So some women are like, hooray, I'm getting maintenance. Okay, but now you also have to contribute 50 to the bills if you've never done that before.
Mm-hmm. It's interesting because there's a lot of people that might be just thinking about things like I am here.
Mm-hmm.
Because what happens when they're not getting it?
Mm-hmm.
And they were awarded money and they're not getting it.
Mm-hmm.
They get it because and they could say any story they want,
Mm-hmm.
But okay, if he lost his job or what have you, but a lot of times they run.
Yeah, people will switch employers because the employer is who's going to actually deduct that maintenance award.
So it's automatically deducted?
Yes, if the employer.
That's good.
Yeah, if you know their employer, an income withholding order will be sent to them, and they by law have to start deducting because it's a court order.
That's good
So
that they
it should
do
be
that now.
handled already, and that's
Mhm.
automatically issued when the employer is on record with the court and there's an order for maintenance. So that's how you would get it. If you're not getting it, then something's wrong and you need to contact your attorney.
Absolutely. Again, you can go up onto her social media handle, which is Attorney Katie, Catie, and check her out and get all the information that you can. Understanding it more makes it easier and less scary,
Yes,
right?
yes.
How many people come to you that are really, some of them are mad, I'm sure, but,
Mhm.
come in there that are scared.
Yeah. I mean, so many women I talk to are scared so much so that they don't ever end up filing for divorce.
That's another story. That's a whole nother
Yeah.
story,
Yeah.
and that's sad,
Mm-hmm.
right? But you know what? I think when you get the information and you're on the website and you're looking at those videos and you're really listening and getting some of your questions answered, I think this way, that's got to help people
Mm-hmm.
right there. And like I said, it might be you, it might be someone that and tell them about it.
Mhm.
Because tell them they have this information is there for them and it'll make them feel better. We have a couple of minutes. I want to go ahead and get this one here. Can maintenance ever be modified or terminated?
Yeah, so under Arizona law, maintenance can be modified if there's been a change in income. And then it is automatically terminated upon the remarriage of the party receiving maintenance or upon the death of either party.
So let's say somebody was supposed to get it for 5 years,
Mhm.
okay? And all of a sudden they stopped getting it because the husband lost his job,
Mm-hmm.
okay? Does that have to be done through the courts and have to let them know that that's happening? Do they have to do that?
Yes, that's a great question. The answer is yes. The court doesn't know what goes on in your life if you don't tell them. There's
Right.
no sort of overviewing agency that's watching.
So what are your final words there for people out there that are listening right now, especially with that, because, I think it happens probably a lot. Go ahead.
My final words would just be, if you are in this situation, you do not know what to do, contact an attorney, at least get a consultation so they can tell you about your rights. Knowledge is power, and you can easily be taken advantage of if you do not talk to someone that tells you what those rights are.
100%, I totally agree. And we don't want people to get, I don't want to say the word, but sometimes it can happen. You certainly don't want to get taken advantage of. Check her out on her social media handle, which is Attorney me, Katie, Catie. Get that information, maybe it's for you or someone that you know, and let's help everybody out.
Thank you.